Just walked in the door. If we're gonna talk, I get a can of listening juice. Hey.
Hi. Okay, so I was talking to the girls at work.
Oh, here we go.
What?
No good ever comes from that. It's never... You know, I was talking to the girls at work, and they told me that I'm not servicing you enough.
All right, here's the thing. A while ago, Jane and her husband decided that they would go find...
Is Jane that one who looks like Pete Rose?
No, that's Bethany, and she does not look like Pete Rose.
Well, let's just crack open the old baseball encyclopedia here.
All right, maybe a little. Look, here's the thing. Jane and her husband went to couples therapy, and they found it really helpful. She loved the therapist they use, and I think it's something we should do.
Why? Our marriage practically runs itself, and plus you're not chunky like Jane, so why do we need a therapist?
Wow. Rough day for the work friends. I just think we're both so busy at work, we never have time to talk, and now we're going through all this fertility stuff.
You know how I feel about therapy. Why deal with stuff when you can just push it down inside and go on with your life?
Well, that's great, but as a backup plan, it might be nice to have an hour every week where we can connect and focus on our relationship. Here's the guy's card.
I don't know. Do we really need to pay a guy to tell you how lucky you are?
Well, no one's doing it for free.
Now, ladies, gentlemen, and races, species in between, this is your motherfucking boy. This is your motherfucking SPiC. This is that dirty dick dude. Soul Papo again with another motherfucking weekly episode for your motherfucking ass. Now and forevermore, may the hoes recognize, and may the niggas do too, that Mr. Rogers' ass was the best thing that ever happened for your neighborhood. Reminding us to stay calm, to put our shoes on one at a time, to be good to our neighbors on some motherfucking Christ dish, Yeshua Jesus type ish, to where, you know, we held that in the highest, greatest commandment. You know, even karma wise, do unto others as they'd, you know, be done to you. I mean, there's no doubt that the whole message, the whole, even fucking messenger turned the hardest right and was as white and polished and whitewashed. I already said that part, but white as a motherfucking Snapchat filter. So go on, give us all the data, tell me everything that I need to sell you, to trick you, to screw you, and to, you know, tell me what you want, what you really want, so I can tell you how I give no fucks. And that's how Trump came off with. And I know I'm going to go right into it. Some motherfuckers that were angry from the very get-go. It goes even before it could even start. And certainly more now as to seeing the moves that he's making and how seems like he's actually, you know what I'm saying, sticking to some guns, at least getting certain things going, at least creating conversations that are going to get people up in arms. And I'm pretty fucking sure this is just a sleight of hand trick, because it's going to be... it's helping in us ignore other things that are probably going on, and I really feel that's his main fucking source. If you ever saw the presidency as like a fucking puppetry of shit with, you know what I'm saying, some kind of Illuminati-esque figure up the ass of another character while, you know, pulling strings like fucking Geppetto, it's definitely in this presidency. And there's so much shit that I can't even begin to think what might be going on, because I'm so caught up in my own bullshit. Back to stating how difficult it is to be able to, you know what I'm saying, to pull together and come together, because sometimes with so much shit that's popping off, when you have moments to yourself, I know for sure I just want to spend it by myself. And as much, you know, as it should be, you know, having great family time and that sometimes you need to be able to reset batteries. So I mean, I can't blame anyone for, you know what I'm saying, for laziness, because Lord knows I'm a victim. But I mean, but 2017, that's not the word of choice. It's not being a victim, it's being a survivor. And that's, you know, that's definitely what we try to do in this masquerade of bullshit. But I started laughing because the whole border thing, it got so much attention, so much to the fact that, you know, here we are spitting bars, using our Twitter fingers, and ex-president Fox Amber saying some shit about, oh, I'm still not paying for the goddamn. Well, like, nigga, you ain't even president. Like, who the fuck included you? But I've always seen him, and I'm not, as much as I am a SPiC, I don't really keep it too much of the politic and knowing, you know, who does what. But I've seen him, though, when I've noticed little conferences and shit like that. He's always been in the background. So I don't know if it's because he did his time, still alive, didn't get killed by a fucking cartel, or whatever the fucking reason, he still has his foot in the door. So it's funny just to see that shit back and forth. But I mean, I just wonder how severe or how literal is this shit gonna actually be, especially with, I mean, the fucking ban on, so, or was it, is it not the ban on Muslims, but just the ban on being able to accept, some of them coming in the door. And I mean, unless these motherfuckers are gonna go to Mexico and break in that way, which I have a whole conspiracy theory about fucking the whole Middle East, coalitioning with the Mexicans, and Mexicans ain't have too much love for us, so I could just imagine them just cooperating and having some kind of business run. I mean, I can only imagine. We look like fucking cousins. That literally, we look like fucking distant cousins. You look at someone in Iraq, like who was from Iraq, Hussein, fucking look like an Uncle Chewy of some sort. You look at even Gaddafi. He just looked like it's like a troll OG. And these are guys who were trying to make moves and changing our world's currency, which of course is the U.S. We didn't want none of that shit. Because then we'd show how less we actually have. A lot of times, and I incorporate this with a lot of what I feel like social media kind of throws into the realm, to where, look how happy I am, look what I'm doing. I mean, sometimes I fucking wonder, and not to even talk shit, but sometimes even like my own sister, I'm like, damn, bitch, how are you able to afford being able to, go to the sushi and go to the movies and be able to go on these fucking trips? Like, bitch, I make more than you. But, it's all about what we make our priority and what we, choose to show to the world. I mean, I used to hide a lot behind memes, and little funny trivias and shit like that. But that would kind of take some time. And honestly, I would kind of invest more time than any sheer gratitude of a few likes was paying me. So I just quit completely, and as much as I want to go back, I know the backlash of what can happen and being lost in the trance, because some shit can be addicting, whether it's catching up with folks or being able to, catch so many likes, or I mean, really just kind of creating a persona, creating some kind of facade and shit that takes so much energy. And I'm not too sure if it's because, I've been playing stepdaddy, and, soon I'm going to, be an actual daddy, even though I feel like an actual daddy is a motherfucker that's going to be taking care of shit that, needs to get taken care of. So, I mean, whether or not you contributed sperm or not, that don't necessarily make you a daddy, but I digress. It takes just a whole lot to be able to keep shit functional, keep shit moving. That having to do all that shit, I see it as so much of a waste of time. I see it as so much of it wasting your soul. And unless you actually have a spare time and you really are trying to connect with friends or, family members that are distant, like, that's the one true thing I could see from it. But it's just way too easy. It's just way too tempting to be looking at other shit, or to get lost in just the shit that, technically, I mean, pretty much they're forcing upon you. Like, notice a lot of times you'll see something that says sponsored by, or this is an ad, or some bullshit like that. A lot of times you won't know because they cover it up perfectly so that it mixes with the shit that you're normally regularly looking at, and it allows it to be more easier to reblog, repost, retweet, whatever the fuck you want to do, to where you're sharing it. So that's how it gets in. It's like just how, evil. All it needs is a crack. Like you imagine someone chasing you and they get their hand in the door, and, it's kind of up to you to, chop off that hand or whatever the hell, or they might just slip on in because they got their hand. Let's say, be motherfucker, you got your foot in the door somewhere. All it takes is a little bit of chance to slip in more and get all the way in. That's why, they call it slipping into the DMs, because if you can be, I don't know, charming enough, you can really charm pants off. You can, do whatever the case is, whatever it is that it takes to lure into you, whether it be your mind, your heart, or your soul. I mean, that shit is what consumes and, really goes through your blood veins. And it's funny that what we do and what we put on there is going to be there forever, whether it's bullshit or not. And I think that's kind of something that Trump really took to consideration, or is really laying down the foundation to. And this is what I meant to say earlier, because I reconnected with my dude, Root Boy, and I haven't talked to him in a minute. And I really didn't talk to him because via text, and I should have texted more, but I was just like, he dropped one last little bomb, and it kind of stuck with me. With Trump and what he's doing, he is really creating history. And I say that because we look at, the geographics, or not hieroglyphics, or whatever the fuck you call it with the Egyptians. They have the tombs and other. I know I'm missing the word. It's somewhere there in between. But they're creating a story. They're creating, what's going to live on, no matter what destroys around them. When the ruin is done, when the dust is settled, and when people go excavating for shit, what they're going to find. And no matter, if this shit living in the cloud is merely just a server base somewhere, I mean, regardless, wherever the hell we're storing this information at, if it's going to continue, if it's going to live on, it's going to be what they're inputting. And one of the scariest things that really made me come to the realization that no matter how shitty it's going to look, or how shitty it is, it's going to look so much prettier in the future or from a distance or for example, and it was pretty embarrassing about the inauguration of Trump and supporters that, the crowd that they drew in, it was nowhere close to the Women's March, but definitely it was nothing in comparison to when Obama was inaugurated, and that was more of a grand feat. I mean, you're talking about, and we can't say he's totally black because the nigga ain't Nigerian. That's straight up nigga. But and that ain't a bad thing. But I'm saying, as far as that was such more of an accomplishment to be able to see, because we wouldn't have thought it with all this, with all this racism and all this bullshit. We wouldn't have imagined, whatever. And I'm not trying to take us 8 years back, but he's trying to. I remember the copy and paste that they did so that it can look like, hey, this was a grand day. This nigga was straight up, and I'm talking about Trump right now. He was straight up lie to the public in his tweet saying, I was so proud and so honored or whatever the fuck about the, big old turnout that they had. But it's really like, no, that's bullshit. We've seen comparisons, and who knows what time of the day supposedly that it leaked from the photographer of the park itself, because I guess they have that shit under surveillance like crazy. You'd imagine it being in DC. So it was leaked, and they got in trouble for doing so. So I'm imagining that it was a realistic picture, because like I said, we can't tell what time, and who knows, from one point to one point. I mean, there had to be a fucking timestamp on the bitch to truly know the comparison, but. The fact is, and that's another scary thing. It could be fake news. Who the fuck knows? And because of that fake news bullshit, like, who's to say what is real? I mean, of course, you have to have your facts, but who's gonna go digging enough? Who's gonna put their neck on the line to be like, no, I know this because I work here? No one's gonna want to fucking do this. Nobody wants to get their own shit fucked up, and that's what's messed up, really, because we're kind of driven by our own selfish pursuits. As much as we should be selfless. We take way too much pride in ourselves and become selfish. And you know that from experience, but I just know that because that's just kind of like they say that's just, not biology, but they're saying that's just how the mind is. And that's why, a kid or a baby, they're going to be totally selfish because they think that the world revolves around them. Just how when you're young, you're kind of... in any adolescence or ignorance, whatever you want to call it, it's going to take us back to the dark ages where we thought the fucking world was flat. Who the fuck knew that it would have been around? Unless you're taught this, unless you see this, you're not going to know it. So sure as shit for someone who's, so young. But I digress. It's in human nature to do so. And whether that be seed that the devil planted, that we just said, fuck it, let's go with that. Because you see some people who are selfless, some people who really do give 100% of themselves. But, not to say that everyone can't be fucking God. But it's just, unfortunately, God bless it that we were to have more of that, but it's just that ain't really reality. And unfortunately, we live in reality as much as we try to escape into other escapisms, whether that be your social medias, your like feeds, your posting of shit, your the compliments you get throughout the day, the side motherfucker that you're seeing that just tells you how pretty you are, like all these things. It's good because we need to be able to build our own self-confidence. There has to be ways for us to build ourselves up, but when it's so easy to be knocked down by that particular thing, you're giving that particular thing way too much fucking power. And I think that's kind of where the social media, or just really any cross-media shits that they have upon us. And when we're getting the bar set by a fucking Kardashian or by whoever the fuck is famous at the time, like it all, and I said this again, but it all is just a facade, and it's bullshit, and it's tiring, and god damn does it make a lot of money, and I want me some of that money, and I don't know what else to say about it. So on that note, let's get to some news. Now, if it seems hypocritical that I'm bringing this shit up, it quite is, and I say that as a wannabe Christian, even though I want to be real Christ-like. Sometimes, just you can't help but just get together and just talk a little bit of shit. And one of those things is, and I couldn't fucking escape it, even though I tried to stay away from fucking social media, is the one thing that I'm prone to is shit that's on YouTube, unfortunately. And I kept on hearing about the bullshit between Soulja Boy and Chris Brown, and I forgot what bitch they were going after. It couldn't have been Kalani. It had to have been some other bitch that apparently no one was getting at. But this is another thing too, like how a bitch can be famous all because she shows her ass on Instagram. Like, I mean, please believe my Instagram is full of suicide girls, which is why I don't get on it. Like, as much as I want to, I'm just like, I don't know where to start. Not just to stare at the fucking pale white bitches, but more or less just to be able to, I'm saying, try to be funny. Like, I'm fucking cooped up in my little cave, and you wonder why I can't work on myself. But one of the things that just cracked me up with these motherfuckers is just how hardcore it got it. It's just all, Twitter fingers, and it's all just fucking, online posing. But then apparently there was going to be a fight that was going on. So then that's when the shit got interesting. That's when I was like, well, that could be, entertaining. And was it, I think, Game, who is managed by Whack 100, which I think is a fucking ridiculous fucking name, because Whack responds to the word as you being shitty. But anyways, he also manages Soulja Boy. So, of course, he's been trying to get his fighter promotership on with this one faggot motherfucker. What's his name? He's from Florida. Stitches. And so they've been trying to kind of get this fighting thing going on, and Floyd Mayweather, he's been kind of getting the bullshit with something McCracken, some white dude from the UFC, some Irish cat, I think he was. Anyways, so I know they've been kind of going off about being able to fight and and the money not being right and yada yada yada. Well, so now there's this fight that's supposedly from and I'm doing air quotes, you can't fucking see me, the digital straits, and they're gonna, lay down. So then apparently, who is it? So Mayweather was training Soulja Boy, and I forgot who was training Chris Brown. And, no, it might have been Mike Tyson. And then apparently, I don't know, just to add to ether the fire. But then Soulja Boy dropped Mayweather in regards to getting Evander Holyfield, which cracks me the fuck up because one of the earliest memories that I have, and it shows my age, but I remember that being an infamous fight. It might have been back in '97 when fucking Mike Tyson bit the fucking ear off of Evander Holyfield, which I thought was just so fucking crazy and just showed his animal instincts and yada yada yada, and kind of typecast the motherfucker to be the crazy kooky motherfucker that he is today. But and all the attention that this shit gets, I'm just thinking like, who the fuck's dropping the album? Ain't none of them dropping any music. So what is this for? It's a fucking distraction. I'm pretty fucking sure, along with Kanye and the Steve Harveys and the Chrisette Michelles, fucking Trump got these little nigglets in on it so they can to create this fucking diversion. I don't understand it. I don't know what it's really about, because it just seems too stupid of a thing. I mean, mind you, I will kill for my woman. You know what I'm saying? I smacked the fuck out of one. You know what I'm saying? And had to deal with him. It lost me my job and my little spare change. But oh fucking well, you do what you got to do when you're fucking pressed against you. But this is some online hoisms. Like, how are you going to be intrigued or perplexed or torn and twisted over some online hoisms? Like, they don't make any fucking sense. And you dumb. You niggas, you all really dumb. So in the other motherfucking news, I really felt bad. Even though people who are online, people who are on TV, or on these reality shows, I mean, they choose to put themselves there. So I mean, you really can't help but get the attention that you so desperately put out there. The wanting of that is an energy and all that shit. And it's sad that when fucked up shit does happen and how it kind of comes to light. And we do live in the generation of, it's not centricity, but just of it all being fucking out there, just in the cloud, or for us to be able to enjoy or take a part and dispose of. But T.I., who was getting divorced from Tiny, who I don't know if she was a fucking stripper or a hooker or a prostitute or some bullshit, which you can really tell the difference in those things and a reality TV star. But she filed for divorce. And one of the fucked up things about it, I guess the part that irks me so much, because man, I would be fucking heartbroken or fucking furious, and is that she was seen canoodling with this motherfucking, I don't want to say it's his arch nemesis, but definitely something that we've seen bullshit of before with fucking Mr. Money making Mayweather. And it started from fucking taking pics to where she was at a party at Mariah's, I think. And supposedly this bitch didn't want to be rude to Mariah, so she, posted more pictures and was seen dancing again. But this is someone that you obviously know has a beef with your husband. Someone who could probably knock your fucking husband out, which is unfortunate. I mean, his hands technically are like registered as weapons. So, I mean, you can't really help it. And T.I., who's been in trouble for having registered weapons, I mean, it's just bad news all the way around. And just not only, from respect for his ass, but then, and who knows what other deeper issues there is. And, and who knows, and I mean, and I hate that. I mean, this is the point. I guess this is the show where I can just talk my shit and say all these things. But I would imagine, this bitch who was a stripper or something like that, or, for the hoe of shit. I mean, when you sell your life, so to speak, so it can be publicized, I'm pretty fucking sure if there's a motherfucker who has millions, flashing at your pussy is not, you probably wouldn't think twice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shit, if I was in a position, you know what I'm saying? Surely I would give insert actress, for some dick. And it just, it's just one of those things. Obviously not because I love my baby mama, that's my mama, but it's just, in that realm of celebrity, that's just the line that they would go. So I'm imagining in the shoes of, so in that very case, it's just, oh my God, it's just so fucking disheartening and so embarrassing just to see all that shit. And it's not nothing you can live down. And I'd imagine, not to say that they fucking probably Google themselves every day, but people that hang around, they know the business. People you doing business with knows your business. So it's just, there ain't really no escaping that shit. Kind of like to fucking Jane Aiku. I didn't realize the bitch was as old as she was, having a kid as old as it is, I think 5 or 6 or some shit. And she was married. I wouldn't have thought that, seeing the music that she made or seeing the artists that, she was seen, fooling around with. Shouts out to Big Sean, little nigga doing big things. And it's just one of those things to where, to get to the point of it, her ex is now trying to get alimony. And that's one of the terms that just scares you the most. Now, I don't make much. I wish I could make more. I hope to pray to God that something blows up and I become a celebrity when money comes hella easily just for bullshitting. But until that day, I had to work for my shit. So just to think to have to pay for someone else to live, it's just one of the biggest fucking busted balls. And you see it a lot. We see it a lot with women, asking for their, from their husband for alimony. Now, I can see that if a woman, decided to become a stay-at-home mom, putting her career down, like, that's understandable. Now, this motherfucker, I don't know at what point she was the breadwinner, and I'm not too sure if he was a producer or a manager or something of that nature, but you figure he's making his own money. So I laugh that when a man tries to do it, people kind of shun it off. But yet, if a woman was totally dependent on her man, we would have given. It's just one of those fucking, what's it called? Not double. It's not. It's just one of those double standards. When we see that. So it's fun. Just like when we see a man in a domestic violence, shelter, like that is some bitch shit. I understand your bitch going all up on you, but really, motherfucker, you have to escape. Like I'm sure that ain't the fucking case. You probably had the most bruises because you was smart. You pushed the bitch in her armpit because you can't see those bruises. But I mean, other than that, like it just shows. I mean, people just playing the system. So when I see that shit, I was like, damn, bitch, I'm so sorry. But I mean, that's just what happens when you get motherfuckers playing the system. So unless you in that system and you gonna fight, for what is right, then you're gonna allow for bullshit to happen and for shit like this to get and slide through. So best of luck to that motherfucker and to T.I. So for my last little piece of news, one of the things that really tripped me the fuck out, and I didn't really understand this, so who knows if it's an actual true thing or not, because we could just judge off of pictures and career paths, but Lindsay Lohan, this bitch has become a Muslim. And it was funny because not too long ago, in the past few episodes, I had mentioned about her opening up some fucking Russian nightclub, or maybe just being one of the promoters of it, which just kind of seems like a holy fuck, that's a far reach kind of thing for her to be publicizing, or for for her to be marketing, to where even she had like donned her own little language where she sounded like British, South African, and Russian, which was weird. But one of the biggest things too is just how strong, and I'm not trying to throw fucking ISIS in the mix or fucking say that she's become a radical or something like that, but they have influence out there so much to where when fucking the Syrians were running around trying to escape, find some kind of refuge, that was one of the big spots. So it's just kind of funny, and I always see this when I see like white women from like South Dakota or Ohio that run off with some fucking Muslim and, become like these radicalized, people who, mind you, are not following true traditional doctrine of Islamic beliefs, but more so just like this radical, crazy, fuck everyone else because I'm disenfranchised or just, left out for whatever fucking issue, which, mind you, I can't front. And there's place for those folks because, whenever you feel disconnected, whatever helps you feel whole again, that's what you're going to gravitate it and, jump onto. Just how, really the biggest, most sultriest dick there is fucking Jesus dick, because as soon as you get yourself a taste of Jesus, a lot of times if it's true and you stick with it and, you truly, rebuke all the wickedness and try to tarnish away and fight off all the wicked, all the evil that kind of still lingers in, and you truly become sanctified and you do what Peter did and you're reborn every day and all this good stuff, you feel the Holy Spirit, you're gonna stick with that. And that's why, and it saddens me how just and I don't like the word religion, but the power of spirituality has become befuddled or muffled up from all the shit that we kind of lose ourselves and give ourselves into. So much so, like, I swear to God, we were at the parking lot of the church and I made an excuse to like not be in there. That just shows you how strong influence can be, and what lies in our heart truly exfoliates itself in the rest of shit. But I digress. I'm trying to talk about Miss Lindsay Lohan's ass and how she just seen with I'm sure if it's a durka or a dashiki or whatever that's just called that they fucking wear over their heads, which I think is very beautiful, and I feel like a woman should be covered up, but only expose herself to her man, even personality wise. Like, bitch, don't even look at this motherfucker, don't appease him, don't even humor him. Do whatever the fuck you gotta do and be gone. And that's probably where a lot of holisms get surprised, because anytime you suppress something, aka motherfuckers, priests in the Catholic Church, when you do finally let something off, it's gonna probably be something wicked because you've had too much built up. That's just what happens. I know when I was like at my strongest in Christ, I was on top of the world. I was healthy, I was making decent money, I was living all right. And my one little, little bit of sin, was of the flesh. Now, even though New Testament talks so much about not giving into it, like, I couldn't help it. I was fucking obese, overweight beforehand. I was just feeling good about myself. Pussy was thrown on my lap. Sometimes it'd be delivered. Sometimes I could order, and it can be thrown. They leave on their own. It was a beautiful time to live, and I think that's kind of one of the things, one of my original habitats, to where it's kind of hard to not be within that, because that's what motivated and did a lot to, for me to properly function, which I know can sound wrong and it sounds like the total excuse for hoisms, but it is what it is. And some would say that, and the same thing with Lindsay. So her kind of going through these roller coaster of shits, it's funny that she would, it's not funny, I'm glad that she found some sort of spirituality, but it's funny that it would go in this regard. And if she has any sort of influence on young hoes today, because now these young hoes who were under her spell of sorts, or who were under her influence, or who were very much, who adored her, or you could say the generation from being as young as, if you remember the Parent Trap remake, the fucking Mean Girls, which is a fucking classic staple in chick flick movies, and I can't front about it. That's up there with me, along with Easy A and Clueless. Like, it's one of those dope chick flick movies that it's I can't say any other fucking word for it. Give me a thesaurus. Anyway, so I'm wondering if that would kind of, if it was strategized, and whoever the fuck did her manipulating, whoever kind of lured her in, if it was to kind of to get that demographic and that audience. Just how, we look at Ariana Grande, and she's a beautiful little baby bitch, and it's just hilarious how she has literally been a baby prostitute for as long as you can remember. And when they market her now, and I forget the name of the album, Behind the Woman or Behind the Mask or some shit, this bitch is straight up wearing some kind of BDM, BBD, whatever the fuck, that body bondage fucking leather S&M shit. And these little girls are, and it's the music that goes to little girls, and whatever fucking old bitch that doesn't want to let go and listen to some grown people music, like it's directed towards that. And I started laughing, and this isn't really much in the gossip news because I'm done talking about Lindsay. but she was picked up as a character in a Final Fantasy mobile game. And I gotta give shouts out to that because Final Fantasy, which is a Square Enix title, it's been around since fucking back in the NES days. I don't know if it was before any of that, but it's been continuing to literally we're at the point where now in the PS4, Xbox One era video game systems, there's a game called Final Fantasy 15. So it's just it's literally the same shit. Never really got into it, but it's whatever. I'm not so much about the game, but now obviously the biggest market being the mobile market because just how TV was something new to radio, and then radio then became a dying form. Now internet is like the new generation, or phone is like the new generation of TV because now they're not only in their houses, but now each person has one. So now the dying factor of what was TV is now the radio, and so on and so forth. So it makes sense from a global market that you put your gaming on the mobile system, right, on everybody's fucking phone, something that most fucking smartphones can handle, and then you're taking this property that again has a nostalgia factor that can get the fucking geek, not unlike me because I'm not a fan of that shit, but someone who knows of it, or someone that sees cute little characters and they put her in the game. So her character in the game is wearing that little bunny outfit that she fucking wears on her album, which I think is perfect because not only are you gonna get the creeps and the perverts who want to see this bitch, but also the fans who listen to this bitch, and then also the geeks who play the game. So it's just a fucking perfect melting pot of what is, I'm sure, is gonna microtransaction the fuck out of your wallet. So kudos to fucking Square Enix or Squaresoft or whatever they're called to be able to make that kind of game and to make that kind of move. I haven't looked at the number figures, but I imagine that it's making quite a bit. And I'm pretty sure to see that little tiny bitch in some skimpy outfits, the pedals are loving it. Now that I get you stimulated and titillated and excrementulated and some of the shit that sounds so illated,